Hey guys, Furum here, and today I am going to be testing the Honda Integra Type-R in multiplayer. I made a video about this car a long time ago, but I decided since the assembly cup is finished and a lot of people have the car, I'd show how it does in multiplayer. So my tuning is 0205, Pro Kit's 1545, which brings me to a rank of 1272. So let's get right to our first race, in which we have a BMW M2 and an SLK Special Edition. 3 of the 5 races in this video I actually found an SLK Special Edition in, and they led to some pretty interesting races, I can tell you that much. Now this is one of the best tracks to fight SLKs on. They cannot get up their speed at the start, similarly like Sector 8 Reverse. That car directly behind me is the SLK, and if they don't make the turns well, they wreck, like he just did. So this track, Skydrop, is another good one to fight SLKs on if it comes up in a room. So as we saw at the beginning of this race, the Integra has quite good acceleration, even with no acceleration upgrades. This is due to the fact that upgrading nitro actually increases acceleration. And since this is a nitro-reliant car, the nitro upgrades are maxed out, and the Pro Kit upgrades that have nitro in them are pro'd out. So at this point in the race, I was wondering where the M2 was, and more importantly, where in the world was the SLK? Because even though he wrecked, he should have been able to catch up by now. And since it was nearing the end of the second lap, I was thinking, hey, maybe I can pull off this win. And then I saw a little green dot start to come up to me very, very fast on the minimap. This is the SLK. And the SLK can go about 85 miles per hour faster than this car at this rank, which is pretty crazy. That's why he was coming up so fast at the end. But I managed to beat a SLK Special Edition and an M2 in the same race, and a Max Pro Desir, but it's not good around this rank. So now we have another race against an SLK, this time on one lap on Venice. So the Donkervoort still starts it faster than this car, but I passed it in about 5 seconds because of the Donkervoort's terrible speed for its rank. So the Integra micro drifts pretty well around corners, and this is often better than long drifting around a lot of turns if you're in a nitro-reliant car, because what happens is when you're drifting, your speed goes down below your top speed, which is a drastic decrease from your maximum speed with nitro, since the car has such a strong nitro boost. So when you micro drift, you're not drifting for very long at all, and you can get around corners without much of a speed decrease from your maximum speed with nitro. So yeah, that's a little something to keep in mind if you have a nitro-reliant multiplayer car such as this one. I bet you can guess what the car is right behind me. Yep, it is the SLK Special Edition. Venice is one of the harder tracks for the SLK because of all the twists and turns and little narrow areas, and it has bad handling, but because of its greatly superior speed, it catches up to me and knocks me down. But not before we got through a majority of the race. So that's a pretty good showing, I would say. But now, of course, there is absolutely no hope for me to catch up to him because, as I said before, he's over 80 miles per hour faster. When an SLK knocks you down and passes you, you're pretty much toast in almost every situation. So we're coming up to the end of the race, and I did pick one lap all the time in this car because of, again, having a better chance against SLK Special Editions. He was a 1261, and we beat that same Desir. Now we have a race on Sector 8, which is one of the best tracks to face SLKs on, but even though there was not an SLK in this race, there was a BMW M2, which is about 10 miles per hour faster than this car at the same rank when tuned properly. It can go around 247, whereas this car can go 237, but this car does have better acceleration. So while most of the time M2s will be most likely able to catch up, this car will certainly stay ahead for a long way, and if you're a very skilled driver, you should be able to beat them some of the time. Oh, and if you don't run out of nitro, we will see that play a big part in the next race in this video. So the Integra's handling is certainly decent, if not the best, allowing it to go through the tunnel with ease, and that M2 has not managed to get closer to us yet. So let's see how long we can stay ahead of him. An interesting fact about this car is it is actually called the Acura Integra Type-R. While Acura is owned by Honda, it is not called a Honda, it's called an Acura. So I'm not sure what Gameloft did there. I think they may have messed up a little bit. I wasn't sure if the Integra could micro drift around this turn, so I just did normal long drifting, and it does long drift well, but its speed also decreases by about 100 miles per hour. It got down to below 130. which is really bad if you've got a car on your tail like the M2, which surprisingly did not catch up to me around those corners because it can go much faster around them since it is not nitro reliant at all. But now, past the corner, it is catching up to me, not very quickly, but still catching up to me. So some of you may be asking the question, does this car do better in multiplayer at this rank? So we are now coming up to the big final turn again on Sector 8. And the Munich one isn't actually this long. I'm not sure how long it is, but it's certainly shorter. Now here I almost lapped this biker guy. He was having a few problems on the turn, I believe, because I saw him wreck once. Bikes are difficult to handle on Sector 8. So we beat a 1264 BMW M2, and wouldn't you know it, the same Desire, again. I think he was free racing to help people gain some points. In this race, we were up against a Porsche 959 and 2 BMW M2s. You can see here, it certainly does start up a lot faster than the M2. So some of you may be wondering, what is actually the best rank for this car? Above 1200 or below 1200? Well, above 1200 at this rank, you will find more SLKs, but there are more rating points to go around, whereas if you just tune this car for Nitro 0005, 0505 to a rank of 1152, there would be fewer SLKs, but you would risk facing higher cars more often than at this rank if you're risking points. And so I just think this one is a better all-around tune to give you probably more wins overall, and to help you gain more rating points as well. Now this car should be able to get you to Pro League without much of a problem, maybe even 1700 or 1800 rating, but it certainly cannot get you to Champion, because when you get up that high in the ratings, the game will most likely pair you with almost all SLKs, and you just won't be able to win. So, we have these two M2s on our tail. One has been directly behind us for the entire race, but thankfully, since I have not run out of nitro, I've been able to stay ahead of him. However, even though this car has extremely good nitro efficiency, I don't know if it's one of the best in the game, but it certainly seems pretty good. This track has very few nitro bottles for a long time. These two sets of blue bottles here are the only ones between the set of 3 a long time ago and the few coming up after the barrel. So I had to wag and I went off to the side so the M2 wouldn't knock me down. And then he passed me because I had to keep wagging for nitro. And I slowed down so much when I didn't have any. So if you're going to play with this car in multiplayer or any other car that is heavily nitro reliant, such as the 959, F150, or Torque or Desire, I believe those are the 5 real nitro reliant cars in the game, try to avoid tracks with not much nitro. Now that may sound obvious, but you've got to think about what the tracks actually are. Area 51 is one to probably avoid, so are Tokyo tracks and Iceland tracks, and there's probably a couple others, but basically any really long one that does not have nitro very often is one to avoid. So we lost to a 1298 BMW M2, but we did beat a 1266 M2. And as of right now, guys, I've made it to 2375 rating in multiplayer. That is actually the highest I've ever been, so hooray, my 1679 Vulcan has done its job. With a few SLK races mixed in there, and speaking of SLKs, there is one in this race. And speaking of SLKs, I will be making a video about my 1248 SLK very soon, and there is an SLK in this race as well. And there's also a triple boosted Camaro in this race for that matter as well. Now, Rose of the Desert is a fairly decent track for cars to beat SLKs on because of all the twisties. However, I don't think it's quite as good as its normal Dubai counterpart, because on there, other cars can take the shortcut at the beginning and take the ramp over the water to save many seconds of time, whereas the SLK really cannot take that turn at all, forcing it to go around and lose many seconds of time. Now, I don't know if that will be much of a determining factor in who wins, because, well, the SLKs are just too fast, but it is certainly something to hinder them. So I'll give my general review of this car now. It is a decent car for multiplayer. It can do quite well around this rank, and while it will usually lose to SLKs, as will every car around this rank, it can compete decently well with M2s and most other things. So in this race, we beat a unboosted 1228 SLK Special Edition and a triple boosted 1338 Camaro. Thank you all for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing for more Asphalt 8 videos. And I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.